White House says that Trump disagrees with Moody's U.S. downgrade. ECB's Lagarde attributes euro strength to waning confidence in U.S. policy amid uncertainty. And the European Union agrees with Britain on a reset of defense and trade ties. You're watching Qnews. Welcome to the Economic Bulletin, and we start off with the United States, where President Donald Trump's sweeping tax cut bill has won approval from a key congressional committee to advance towards possible passage in the House of Representatives later this week. The bill passed in a 17-16 vote, with all Democrats voting against it. Nonpartisan analysts say that the bill would add $3 trillion to $5 trillion to the nation's $36.2 trillion in debt over the next decade. White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt has expressed President Donald Trump's disapproval with Moody's decision to downgrade the U.S. sovereign credit rating. She added that the world had confidence in the U.S. economy. Furthermore, White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett dismissed the downgrade of the United States' remaining AAA credit rating from a major ratings agency last week, saying that the move should not be a surprise. Earlier, Moody's cut the United States rating to AA1 from AAA, citing rising debt and interest that are significantly higher than similarly rated sovereigns. Following Moody's recent downgrade of the United States ratings over its increasing national debt, China has called on the United States to adopt responsible policy measures. A Chinese foreign ministry spokesman emphasized the need for the United States to maintain the stability of the international financial and economic system and to protect the interest of global investors. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has stated that President Trump will reimpose previously threatened tariffs on trading partners deemed to be negotiating in bad faith. While Bessent did not define good faith or give a timeline, he indicated letters would be sent to those nations facing tariff increases, potentially returning rates to those from early April. This comes as Trump's trade policies continue to create uncertainty for businesses and markets. Bessent also addressed Walmart's concerns about price hikes due to tariffs, stating that the company will absorb some of the costs, despite Trump's earlier criticism. Regional trade deals are also being considered.
And now with the Chinese
The European Commission has cut its economic growth forecast for the Eurozone to 0.9% for this year, down from 1.3%, citing ongoing U.S. trade tensions as a key factor. Growth is expected to pick up slightly to 1.4% by 2026, though this is lower than the previously projected 1.6%. Unemployment is anticipated to decrease to 6.1% by 2026, while consumer inflation is expected to slow from 2.4% last year to 2.1% this year, and further to 1.7% in 2026. 2026. However, the outlook for public finances is less favorable, with the budget deficit projected to rise to 3.2% of GDP this year and public debt expected to increase to 89.9%. The Commission warns of risks from trade fragmentation and climate change that could impact economic stability. European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde has stated that the recent rise of the euro against the US is a consequence of U.S. President Donald Trump's erratic policies and an opportunity for Europe. In an interview with La Tribune Dimanche, Lagarde highlighted Europe's comparative stability, both economic and institutional, as a key driver behind the euro's unexpected strength. She further pointed out that divergence in perceived reliability has led markets to favor the euro even in a climate where risk aversion would normally boost dollar.
Bring a new strategic partnership fit for our times, providing real, tangible benefits on security, irregular migration, energy prices, agri-food, trade and more, bringing down bills, creating jobs and protecting our borders. We've delivered this progress through hard work together at every level. Our teams have identified the areas where we can make a real difference while protecting our sovereignty and independence. And I want to thank the negotiating teams on both sides. And I want to thank all of you for your engagement on this. The documents that we have before us today represent a strong package that will benefit all of our peoples. So this is an important moment. We must now move swiftly together on the detailed work to make these plans a reality.
The European Union has agreed with Britain on a reset of defence and trade ties. Nearly 9 years after Britain voted to leave the bloc, it will take part in joint procurement projects. The two sides agreed to make it easier for UK food and visitors to reach the EU and signed a new fishing deal. The British government added that the reset with its biggest trading partner would reduce red tape for food and agricultural producers, make food cheaper, improve energy security, and add nearly £9 billion to the economy by 2040. On fishing, British and EU vessels will have access to each other's waters for 12 years. In response, President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has affirmed that the reset with the UK, in light of the rising geopolitical tensions and the tariff disputes, will pave the way towards a new agreement between both sides.
Indeed, this is a big day because we are now turning the page and opening a new chapter. A new chapter that is so important in these times because we see the rise of geopolitical tensions. But we are like-minded. We share the same values. We know that we work shoulder by shoulder, hand in hand, when it's really coming to crisis and difficult moments. So we should use this moment also with this first summit to develop a roadmap, which is on the table here. It's an amazing, comprehensive roadmap that we have, looking at security and defense together, but also looking at the whole economic cooperation that we have, and most importantly, people-to-people contact. So very much looking forward to the summit. Thank you very much again for hosting us here.
British Finance Minister Rachel Reeves has stated that it is too difficult for Britain to export and trade with the European Union as a deal resetting some ties was agreed on. She added that the UK-EU summit would bring improvements to businesses and consumers. She stressed the critical importance of the UK collaborating with its allies to safeguard Europe. She further noted that it aimed to generate more high-quality jobs within the UK, lower the prices of goods for consumers as business costs decreased, and most importantly, strengthen the nation's defense partnership with its allies.
what is being described as the most significant reboot since Brexit. The United Kingdom and the European Union have agreed to a wide-ranging reset of the relationship, covering trade, defense, energy, and fishing rights. Prime Minister Keir Starmer says it's time to move on from stale political fights over Brexit as the New Deal aims to ease trade frictions and restore cooperation with Europe. One key element: European fishing boats will continue to access UK waters until 2038, an extension of 12 years, while the UK will ease border checks, benefiting the food and drink sector. Some routine inspections on plant and animal products will also be scrapped. The government says the agreement could add nearly £9 billion to the UK economy by 2040. £360 million investment package for coastal communities and the fishing industry will also be launched. On defence, the UK is now set to participate in the EU's proposed £150 billion defence fund, marking a notable step towards security alignment. Other measures include plans for a new expanded access for British travelers across European airports. While Liberal Democrats hail the deal as a positive first step, the Conservatives and Reform UK labelled it a surrender, particularly over fishing access. However, the government insists there is little appetite to reopen broader Brexit questions and that the priority is pragmatic cooperation.
For further analysis, we're joined from Cairo by Dr. Ali Khurshid, Professor of International Economics and Dean of Business and Economics at London University. Welcome to Qnews, Professor. Now, let's start by asking you, what's the significance of the new UK-EU agreement and how does it reset the relationship?
Hello, good afternoon to you and
to
everybody listening to us now. Well, as you may know, or remember about 3-4 years ago, the United Kingdom gone out from the European Union. And that was after a referendum has happened in the UK.
Yes.
Now, most of the economy has been affected, the economy in the UK and in the European Union at the same time. They were both affected by the withdrawal from the UK from the European Union. Although there was a lot of talk rejoining the UK into the European Union, but that and it's not easy. So they have to do another referendum, and the Parliament have to approve, and then they have to negotiate again, and so on. But what happened was the government at present, which is led by Keir Starmer, they wanted to go into the European Union from the back door by not having a full membership as such, but having all the other agreements renegotiated and giving favorable to the both countries, either to the UK or to the European Union from the two sides. Therefore, that negotiation started now, which is obviously started with the fishing rights in European Union into the water belong to the UK, and they're going to follow other things like the exchange of labor, exchange of currency, and setting up a currency in such a way that is not fluctuating too much, and easier to maintain and import and export food products, and not having a big queue in the ports, and so they cut down the paperwork and get the goods moved a lot quicker than now.
Yes.
That is what the European Union and the UK are trying to do. Both of them wanted to join economically together, but not as before as a full member of the European Union.
Well, speaking about fishing, sir, fishing has always been a contentious Brexit issue. What's been agreed this time?
Well, they cannot agree on everything very
course.
quickly. They had to negotiate one item by one item. They started now with the fishing rights, And obviously, the European Union affected badly with the fishing rights because they fish from the North Sea, where they get a lot of fish for feeding the Europeans. And that was affected badly, and the prices of fish on that particular sector was affected badly. And that is what they agreed with. So compromising from here and compromising from there. That is what they plan now to do. Secondly, they are looking now at doing something for exchanging labor. As you know now, UK is separate from Europe. So I'm a UK citizen. If I want to go and work in Europe, in France or Germany or Italy or anywhere, I have to get a work permit. And that was not a good idea, because that would limit the number of people are looking for jobs and traveling. And there have been a lot of talk in the UK about the social activities. Since the breakaway from the European Union, there is a lot of talk about the youth and the new generation are not mixing well with the Europeans. And therefore, Britain will become isolated from the rest of the world. So when the European Union was with the UK, there were exchange of students, exchange of labor, exchange of culture, etc., and that was benefit both countries. I mean, the UK and the European Union as a whole. But now things are difficult. If I want to go as a British citizen to Europe, I got to get a work permit. Although I have there is no visa requirement, but I can have a tourist visa or go in maximum of 90 days without work. So that issue also in the table for the discussion.
Okay, so how will the trade be affected under the New Deal?
Well, a lot. It will affect a lot. The New Deal, which is they are doing now with the fishing, for instance, give a lot of access to the European fishing industry to expand and grow. It is not affecting the UK as economy as such, because a fish is in the water. So whether they pick it up or other Europeans pick it up, it doesn't make any difference. But obviously that will give a breathing space to all the countries in Europe, such as France and Germany and Italy and so on.
Yes.
And that is one thing which is, at least they put it on the table, saying at least we can negotiate this one and easy to agree.
Yes, I get your point. So what economic impact does the government expect from the agreement?
Which one?
The UK government.
The UK government? Well, I don't think the UK government expected a lot from this agreement, especially the fishing agreement. But they give that away to negotiate something else. And I think the one they're going to put on the table next is the somehow exchange of labor force. So therefore, they don't have to have the work permit issue, because European needs some of the British experts, and the European need a lot of workers from Europe. As you may know, the United Kingdom are badly affected agriculturally, because there is the crops on the tree, they don't have a labor to pick it up, and that was ruined and destroyed. The agriculture industry. Now that is not on the table, and I think the UK having this is on to negotiate with the European Union of changing labor without having to go through all the hierarchy of work permit and all that, which is obviously affect the industry. If you're talking about the agriculture industry or the cropping industry, etc., that's all affected by that.
Okay.
And that is, I think, is the one next on the table. There is one after that. If you give me a chance, I will, like to talk about it.
Yes, but briefly, so I can ask you more questions, sir.
Which
yes,
is
go ahead.
the currency. As you may know, the sterling are different from the from the euro. And what they're trying to do is if you look at the index, you found the pound sterling today, for instance, 1.24 euro, and the dollar is 1.22 USD dollars. And they want to take out the word euro. They want to fix it in a way. So maybe sterling pound will be €1.20, and that fixed all the time. It does not fluctuate. That will help both European Union and the UK to stabilize the prices, because if the fluctuation of the currency can make things change every day. If I want to buy a bottle of water, for instance, from the European Union, while the one sterling pound 1.24, it will be different than if it is £1.2. So therefore, they want to stabilize one thing and then stabilize the custom duty, etc. And that is what the agenda of the new government and Keir Starmer trying to do.
Yes, I get your point.
Said earlier, it's going into the European Union from the back door.
I get your point. That was Dr. Ali Khurshid, Professor of International Economics and Dean of Business and Economics at London University. Thank you so much, Professor, for your valuable insights. Back to our news and moving to Asia. The National Bureau of Statistics has reported that China's factory output slowed in April, but showed surprising resilience. NBS spokesperson said that China's foreign trade was able to withstand the difficulties to maintain steady growth, demonstrating strong resilience and international competitiveness. China's industrial output in April grew 6.1% from a year earlier, slowing from 7.7% in March. Retail sales rose 5.1% in April, slowing from a 5.9% increase in March. Fixed asset investment expanded 4.0% in the first 4 months of 2025. The National Bureau of Statistics data has shown that commercial home prices in major Chinese cities continued to stabilize in April. The survey revealed that home prices in 70 major cities stayed flat or dipped in April compared with the previous month. New home prices in first-tier cities fell 2.1% year-on-year in April, compared with a decline of 2.8% registered in March. The NBS data also showed a narrowing in the year-on-year decline in the volume of new home sales during the January-April period compared with the first quarter of the year. The Bank of Japan's Deputy Governor Seichini Yoshida has stated that the bank will continue to raise interest rates if the economy rebounds from an expected hit from higher U.S. tariffs. He added that Japan's underlying inflation will stay around the BOJ's 2% target if there is an economic rebound. He noted that recent gains in domestic prices were largely due to higher import costs and increasing food costs, such as for rice. He further added that if forecast materializes, the bank will continue to raise the policy rate. Oil prices steadied on Monday despite Moody's downgrade of the U.S. sovereign credit rating and official data that showed slowing growth in China's industrial output and retail sales. Brent crude futures fell to $65.39 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude inched up 0.1% to $62.58. The nearby June West Texas Intermediate contract expires on Tuesday. Both contracts rose more than 1% last week. Gold prices drifted higher on Monday, steered by a softer dollar and safe haven demand after Moody's downgraded the U.S. government's credit rating. Spot gold rose 1% to $3,234.7 an ounce. U.S. gold futures gained 1.6% to $3,237.8. The U.S. dollar index hit its lowest level since May the 8th, while Wall Street's main indexes slipped. A weaker U.S. currency makes gold less expensive for other currency holders. In markets, global shares delivered a mixed performance in Friday's trading session, with U.S. and European shares posting gains while Asian markets declined. In the U.S., S&P 500 futures rose 0.20%. Futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average inched up 0.13%, and Nasdaq 100 futures inched down 0.10%. In Europe's UK's FTSE 100 rose 0.55%. Germany's DAX increased 0.17%. France's CAC 40 also hiked 0.24%. In Asia, Shanghai Composite Index declined 0.40%. Japan's Nikkei 225 was flat, and the Hang Seng in Hong Kong was down 0.46%. And that brings us to the end of our economic bulletin, and here is what we have been covering. White House says that Trump disagrees with Moody's U.S. downgrade. ECB's Lagarde attributes euro strength to waning confidence in U.S. policy amid uncertainty. And the European Union agrees with Britain on a reset of defense and trade ties. Well, this concludes our economic bulletin. Don't forget to follow Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at Qnews EG to stay informed. I'm Halal Hamalawi. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more updates here on Q News.